All right, welcome to Dual Redundancy, a podcast of pure imagination where the snozberries taste like snozberries, and where you can hear all about a 50-year-old classic film about a chocolate factory owner that's possibly a child murderer. I'm one of those golden ticket holders, David Allen, and another one is...
I'm another golden ticket holder, John Berwick, and a third one is...
Kyle Bridger. I guess I'm the third ticket holder.
You might be the fraud from Paraguay. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Well, I would say that I am the Charlie to John's Grandpa Joe. And since I'm feeling generous, Dave will give you a Willy Wonka.
Oh, I got the short end of this stick, man.
Yeah, John, that's not a good
Wow.
one to get. Grandpa Joe. I guess, yeah, just go over there and lie in bed for the rest next 20 years, John. We don't need you tonight, I guess. Yeah, Charlie, Willy Wonka, we're talking about it all tonight because tonight is a very, very special episode. It is the 50th anniversary of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and it was actually released tomorrow, June 30th, 1971, and this film, of course, stars Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka, an owner of a chocolate factory that invites 5 children to tour his factory after finding a golden ticket in one of his chocolate bars. That's all we're talking about tonight. We're breaking down this movie scene by scene. We're getting into the minutia. We're getting into all of it here, all the stuff that is held up and hasn't held up in 50 years. And before we get to the movie, I got to ask you guys, what's your relationship to this film? John, is this a classic? Have you seen it many times? Childhood favorite? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I think it's one I definitely watched a lot as a child. I think it's one that is definitely held in a little bit of a higher position than most movies for me. I'm not going to say that it's the movie, but I think it's up there. It's a classic, and I think deservedly so. And I think even today, a lot of the jokes still land in it and all that, and I think it's pretty good. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I'm surprised how much has held up. I've seen this countless times, and there's parts, I'm like, oh, that doesn't hold up anymore. But now this does hit. Maybe it's the older person in me. Maybe it's the sarcastic tone sometimes of Willy Wonka. It hits a little different, and it still is funny to me. And I think it's a good children's film. I think you could show it to kids now, and I think they would still enjoy it. Kyle, what about you?
I agree. I think it hits a little bit different now because I actually hadn't seen it in a while. And I feel like whenever I would see it, it would always be on cable TV. Like right in the middle of it. I've seen the burping down the bubbles shoot thing. I don't know how many times. But having seen it in full, I kind of saw it with new eyes, especially at an older age. And some of the things are interesting about it. And I still think it holds up. And some of the problems and issues that they bring up are relevant to today. So I also didn't realize that some of the comedy is very adult oriented. So yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah, it's also kind of wild that I forgot how little they actually are in the actual factory.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka doesn't show up until halfway through the movie. The first half is just a lot of Grandpa Joe, a lot of the teacher, which we'll talk about. There's a lot of real world stuff of how this worldwide hunt for these golden tickets is going, and stuff I completely forgot was even in the movie. There are a lot of scenes. I don't know if they're cut for time on cable, but we'll break it all down. We'll go scene by scene here. We got to start off, I guess, with the opening. They're making chocolate. We're seeing the process over the opening credits. They're making Hershey Kisses, which I don't think Wonka has. I haven't seen those anywhere else in the movie, but we get one credit here in introducing Peter Ostrum as Charlie. And that's it. We introduced him, and then we said goodbye to him because this is his one credit. This is it for Peter Ostrum.
Jumping ahead quite a bit to the end credits, did you know Grandpa Joe is listed before Charlie? It's Willy Wonka, Grandpa Joe, Charlie. I feel like Charlie is number 1, if not number 2 in this show, no?
Yeah, it gets to the point, though, where it's the... It's all about, credit, because obviously if we're introducing Peter Ostrum, Gene Wilder is a name. And I looked up the guy who plays Grandpa Joe. He's actually a decorated actor. I think it's, let's see, Jack Albertson He has won a Tony, an Oscar, and an Emmy. He was short of the Grammy to EGOT.
Wow.
So he's a legit actor. Yeah.
Okay.
Tony,
That might be why
Oscar.
then.
That might be it, I think.
Yeah, because I feel like as much as Grandpa Joe was in this movie, I think as far as screen time and relevance, he's not as up there as Charlie. But that's understandable if it's a recognition thing. That makes some more.
Yeah, Jack's not getting out of bed if I'm not number 2 on the call sheet. That's for sure. But yeah, Charlie Peter Ostrum supposedly turned out a 5-picture contract. Whatever with the studio, I don't know what it is, but he didn't want to make acting his profession. He is now a veterinarian in upstate New York.
Wow.
Are you sad we don't get any more Peter Ostrum movies, Kyle?
No, I think he's probably doing fine in his veterinarian clinic. I would say just stick with his day job for sure. But I can't believe he had an offer for what, 5 pictures?
That's what it said. I mean, who knows?
That is insane.
Internet research.
He could have been like early Macaulay Culkin here.
Yeah. He could have been the first Spider-Man. Who knows? Yeah, I just think it's crazy that it was like one role. Like he's introducing Peter Ostrum, and that's it. No other films on his IMDb. Like he's done, one and done.
That's wild.
But
it's like an immediate icebreaker. That's like an icebreaker winner if he ever meets people out and about.
Yeah, like truth and a lie. I'm a veterinarian. I was in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. All right, well. We actually go to our first scene here, and it's a scene that's always annoyed me. It's at Bill's candy shop. I don't know if you guys know, if you could guess what annoys me about this scene with Bill in the candy shop. John, what is it?
He's giving the kids a ton of candy.
A lot of free candy.
And we discussed this last night when we watched this. I'm wondering if maybe they have some kind of tab system like you would at a bar where the parents come and pay for the kids' candy later, because he's handing it out like it's sand on a beach. He's going all out,
throwing it. Free jelly beans. He has like a little pitcher thing of marshmallows. These kids are not paying for anything. They do a montage. They're grabbing lollipops. They're drinking fountain sodas. They're just going hog wild in there. Meanwhile, later on in the film, Charlie comes in immediately. Money, please. And it's just like, Charlie's like watching this whole thing unfold outside. Charlie, if you just came in, you would have just gotten some free marshmallows in the air. You would have been fine. But
no, because he was a poor kid, man. He
couldn't have snuck in with the other kids. And
I don't know if he could have pulled it off.
But this guy's a little creepy. Obviously, you don't trust the man giving out free candy to kids.
Well, that's my first thing is like. And he's calling himself the Candy Man, and he's just like giving.
Don't say it 4 more times.
Yeah, he's just dishing out candy. This guy gives me the creeps. It's everything you're taught to stay away from as a little child.
And it's also a blink and you miss it moment. And I missed it, and I had to rewind it. There's all the kids there, and they're by the counter. And when he flips open the counter thing, he actually hits a kid in the face.
Oh my god.
Well, like Star Wars, a stormtrooper hitting the ceiling kind of thing. But you bring up the Candyman and this song, and there's some lyrics in it, and it's just like these: who can take a rainbow, wrap it in a sigh, soak it in the sun, and make a groovy lemon pie. And I love how the whole song, it's not even like really about candy, because pie is not candy. And this becomes like a theme in the movie that I've noticed, where later on when the girl is yelling about, I want it now, she mentions how she wants a bean feast, which I don't think baked beans, like what are we, candy? I don't know.
Maybe it's jelly beans.
There you go. That might be
a jelly bean.
A jelly bean feast might be what it is. But it's interesting to note, Sammy Davis Jr. wanted to play the store owner here, Bill, but the director said no. The presence of a big star would break the reality of this film, but Sammy Davis Jr. did turn this song into a #1 hit. So
was Gene Wilder not a big star at that point?
I guess not.
Grandpa Joe not a big star at that point?
Maybe it's just like for like a cameo. Maybe that would take him out, where it's like, oh, these guys are actors. They're, for Grandpa Joe, almost an EGOT winner. It's like, oh, he can slip into this role and no one will know. But yeah,
it's like
I guess
Ed Sheeran showing up in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that might stick out a little bit, but as we mentioned, Charlie Bucket's watching all the fun from outside. He's passing out his newspapers, and he's
Can
out.
I
Oh, go
before
ahead.
are we, because I want to stay at the candy store
Yeah.
because I saw the worst candy that I think was
Oh, what
ever
is it?
invented in this shop. But I want to first ask you,
Oh,
what do you think is the worst candy that you've ever had?
I think I can guess which one it is now in the shop, and is it the one that's on the paper and they're pulling the
Yeah,
paper?
that
dots?
Little
is
dots on
a
it.
terrible candy, and whoever came up with that
Yeah.
is a terrorist. I
You don't-
can only imagine.
You don't like
Why?
the little packaged frog candies that they had that was filled with like green slime or something?
I see. I think I would do that if it's gooey and stuff. I think that one's with the paper because you would try to take them off the paper and the paper
The
would rip
paper's
on it and you would have
you're
it stuck
eating
on it.
like yeah, like 25% paper to candy ratio. It just was never a good candy.
The candy, another one that's bad is those, at least for me, any kind of like those like waxy candies. And I feel like there was like a bottle one where it was like a wax bottle and you could like rip it off and there's like juice inside. Anything
yeah.
like I have to do a lot of work for it and for very little payout is not what I don't
When
want.
the
That.
juices were like this had like this much juice is so yeah.
Yeah.
So
Any other
crazy.
candies you guys don't like? Any bad candies?
Um
Yeah.
that I can only think of that offhand. I'm not a big hard candy person. I like chocolate.
Are you
see,
a chocolate or are you a gummy? Like
I'm not a chocolate fan.
So you're a gummy fan.
I like hard candies and gummies. Yeah, I like the fake fruit flavored candies
There
usually.
does seem
I like
to
the Mike and
be-
Ike's and the Sour Patch Kids.
See,
That's
I don't like Mike and Ike's,
oh.
but I do like Sour Patch Kids. I don't like Now and Later's either. I
Now
don't
and
know.
Later's and the Good and Plenty's. Good and Plenty's are not Mike and Ike's. People think that they are and they compare them. They're not. They're terrible. They're terrible.
Or the Almond Joy, or what was the other one that goes with it? There's Almond Joy and Almond
Mounds?
something. Yeah,
Mounds.
Mounds. Yeah, anything with coconut is out for me.
Yeah,
Right off the bat. There's no redeeming coconut.
Yeah, we're ducky in the chat mentioning black licorice.
Mm,
Yeah, gross. No,
Yep.
go away. Black
dark,
liquor.
the Durin candy. I don't know.
durian,
Durian.
yeah,
Durian.
that fruit, yeah.
But
Ooh.
all right. We got some candy takes already going on in the chat, live on Twitch tonight. Let's see here. So we're talking about Charlie. He's passing out his newspaper, and we get in front of the factory. That happens to be the factory is in this kid's town. He's walking by it, and we get this creepy, weird knife guy walking around, sharpening knives. He's like reading off some kind of like poem, and he's like, "Nobody ever goes in, nobody ever goes out." And it's like, well, trucks have to get in at some point. Like the candy has to go in and out.
Somebody's got to
Just to get-
load the trucks.
Yeah, exactly. Who's driving the trucks? I mean, there's the logic isn't perfect there.
So you're saying a speech from a deranged man on a sidewalk doesn't hold
Nice, yeah.
credibility.
Yeah, I guess not. It doesn't hold up. But yeah, Charlie's going along his way. He finally makes it home, and we meet the grandparents and their living situation.
Which let's start off with that. Dave, could you imagine that your parents and your mother-in-law and father-in-law are in the same bed together?
All four in like a double bed here. And it's like this weird, you got two on one end, two on the other. So like their feet are in the other's faces.
Yeah.
They mentioned never setting foot on the floor, which makes you think, okay, are they going to the bathroom in this bed? Like, are they going to take a bath at all?
They're changing the sheets, man.
They're eating a lot of cabbage water here, so it can't be smelling that good in this place.
Oh God.
But
oh God, man.
and it's just weird that this couple, like both sets, you have Josephine and Joseph and George and Georgina. Like,
yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, not only do you marry somebody that's like the same kind of name as you, but then like the other sets, your other parents or grandparents also have very similar names. It's like, I don't know, but
absurd is what it is.
Yeah, that whole living situation, I got a lot of questions. We'll definitely go into Grandpa Joe a bit later when he has his big musical number. But we also go to Charlie's school. We get a little bit of his school life. That's where we learn about the Wonka bar promotion. And before we get to that, though, I want to discuss this teacher. Kyle, you're an educator. What do you think of this teacher here? Because I got a lot of thoughts on him.
Yeah, no, he's the worst, dude. He's the worst. He's also creepy.
Yeah.
Very English too.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Very English. But yeah, he's the worst, man. He's the worst.
Yeah.
I even have written down, this teacher sucks so much as a
I'm going to go through some of his lessons. I mean, first of all, he mentions, he's switching the Friday and the Monday schedule. The test on Friday is now going to be on Monday before we learn the material. But that doesn't matter since today is Tuesday. It's like, okay, very funny. But also your plan doesn't make sense. Your lesson plan needs some work. But then we get a science and a math lesson. The science lesson, I don't even know what we're doing here. I have a special mixture of my own. It only works in my combination. You're going to tell us what it is? Like, you're teaching us anything that's like, just pour these bottles. He brings up remover. Charlie. It's a wart remover, but also why? Why are you making that? Yeah. And then it's like, bring up Charlie. He's pouring all these weird chemicals, a special mixture of his own. No safety gear, and then just boom. Explosion.
Well, the percentages one just had me dying laughing because it's like you're literally just saying numbers at these kids and writing 100 on the board. He's like, this isn't teaching them jack, man.
And he can't even do basic math because the issue with the percentages is he's like, okay, how many candy bars did you buy? 100. Well, if you do 100 out of 1,000, that's 10%. Oh, you got 150 candy bars? That's 15%. Charlie, how many did you get? 2. Just 2? I can't figure out just 2. You can't? You're a teacher. Like, it's basic math.
Yeah, man.
0.2% teach. There you go. But let's see. We're Ducky in the chat is bringing up a great question. It's the thing I always thought was weird with this. Is this supposed to take place in England or the U.S.? Because all the main cast are American, but so many extra characters are English.
I think it's England.
It's supposed to be England, right?
Yeah, I think it's England.
But I mean, I don't know, because some of the kids are from like Germany. There was the one guy from Germany.
Gloop is from Germany, and then there's at least 2 kids, Mike TV, and I think
Veruca Salt.
Violet. I think might be from
right. And Salt was
America.
from Europe. Sounded like.
Yeah.
And then Charlie, I guess, was from Europe as well.
British.
Yeah, Charlie is wherever the factory is, because we see the map when we talk about like the evening news, and we see like them putting the stakes in, but we never see where the 5th ticket is, where Charlie is. So we don't know where it is. I believe though that they filmed at least the outside of the factory. I believe that's in Munich, in Germany. So
what about the elevator shots at the end? Do we know where those were? Because those were big landscape shots.
I'm looking on Wikipedia as we speak, and it is in Germany, those shots as well.
Interesting.
So I think they shot a lot of this, at least exteriors, in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Well, it has the look and feel of British to it when I was first watching it back. But when I was younger, I thought it was American. But having watched it now, it's like it looks supremely like British.
Yeah, I mean, in the chat, it's like I think it's the concept that could be anywhere. It's like supposed to be intentional, like it could be anywhere. But it does feel like very at least looking at it now, very European, very like London, stuff like that. But anyways, class dismissed, and they're going crazy over this promotion. 5 golden tickets and 5 Wonka bars. This thing is like it's multiple evening news reports. They're tracking it like the election. This is big. Top story news, and it's just a lifetime supply of chocolate, which is good. But I feel like there's so many other things like in the 70s where there's just not enough going on in the world that this was the top story every night, that it was like election coverage, where it is, who has the next one. Let's do in-depth interviews at all these. It's like, seems a little over the top.
I mean, it's like the Powerball. I mean, I guess it would be like, you'd have to look at it as like a CEO of a major company going like into hibernation, basically, and then he's gonna show his factory. I don't
Jeff
know.
Bezos is gone, and
Yeah,
now
Jeff Bezos goes away and then comes back, or like Steve Jobs comes back from the dead and shows off the Apple complex or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's all over the world. These reports, and the adults are, they're betting big at this auction for the last case. Even the Queen is betting for this last case of Wonka bars. And the one that's crazy me, I completely forgot about this scene. I didn't know it even existed. Was there's a point where this woman, her husband has been kidnapped, and they're with the police. I'll do anything for him to come back. Anything, whatever they want. The ransom, it's theirs. And then like, well, the ransom, they want your case of Wonka bars. Well, I do anything for love, but I won't do that. Like, it's just.
Yeah, the line was, "Did you hear me, madam? Your husband's life or the Wonka bars."
Yeah, they have like that supercomputer that like he's just pressing 3 buttons. I am telling the computer, boop, boop, boop. It's just like, okay. Yeah, how long do I have to decide? What's her line? Taking their time. Wonka bars. Might as well just open the Wonka bars, because if they're golden, obviously it loses the value, but like then okay, it wasn't worth it. My husband is gone.
Yeah.
That lifetime supply of chocolate isn't worth. I don't know. But we get our 5. We get our 5 participants. All lucky that they're children. He really lucked out with his master plan that they went to children. But Augustus Gloop, Veruca Salt, Violet Beauregard, and Mike TV, and of course Charlie Bucket. Any favorites? Any least favorites of these bunch of kids? What do you think about this group, Kyle?
They all stink. I mean, they all suck. But that's the purpose, right? All these are just examples of like how bad consumption is.
Yeah. I'm watching it. I almost thought it was like, is this the movie 7? Like,
that's what I was gonna say.
Like,
it really is, though. I mean, they all have some kind of something to deal with consumption. Like the German boy gets super fat. The other one, consumption, is like dealing with factory workers. So the factory workers had to deal with all the nonsense of consumption. You've got like the politician who's a used car salesman as well. It's like staring you right in the face. And then you have the kid that's consuming too much TV and then shooting it's going around and shooting everyone. So it really is like a major story of consumption and how it's bad.
It brings up a question here where we have Slugworth, or who we think is Slugworth at the time. Spoiler alert, it's not him. And he's at all these locations. He's already there, ready to interview and talk to these kids to get them, the plan to get the Gobstopper. And it's just like, how does he know this? Like, we find out later that Wonka has this man on the payroll, but does that mean Wonka knew where the tickets would be going and
That's
to
my
whom?
guess. Yeah.
Because if so, then it's like, well, why did you even put these 4 terrible children even in the running in your top 5? You could have found better candidates than that, unless you already knew Charlie was the winner. Like,
I wonder if they just followed the boxes, maybe. You know what I mean? Like they shipped them wherever they went, and they just happened to follow that box to wherever it ended up, and let it be a chance, but was there to kind of curate that chance. Like to be there for it.
Because it's interesting. Because like, let's say you go in your town, and they got a couple cases of Wonka bars. Okay, I know it's in this town, and then you have to like sit in the supermarket and like watch it. It's like, wait, that one took that one. Okay, it's the 5th candy bar to the left. Okay, nope, not that one. Okay, that person took it. Now follow them. It's just like you have to keep going around following these kids, but. I like how Slugworth is there doing like the professions. Like he's serving steaks. He's a TV interviewer. He's getting involved. But I got to ask you, John, I don't know if you noticed when he's talking to Mike TV, his microphone holding ability is not great. He's swinging this thing around like a lightsaber. He's just going, he's getting like the tail end. It's like, he's interviewing someone and he gets like the last 2 words before he's off.
Doing it with some pizzazz, man. You gotta, if you're there, you might as well do it and look good, right?
Yeah, he looks good doing it, but it's just like he's getting the last word of every person. The other person's talking, and it's the mic's on the other person, and then he brings it to that person when they're done talking.
I did not even notice that.
Yeah,
I can watch that.
It's completely off, but he's offering each kid $10,000 to find out more about the Everlasting Gobstopper, or should I say 10,000 of these?
See,
That's how he says it, 10,000 of these.
but here's the thing. Here's where I come from in my mind. Okay. He can't make that same offer to all the kids because all the other kids could easily get that, right? Because they have rich parents or,
Oh, yeah. So I see what you're saying. Especially
so $10,000.
Yeah.
$10,000 to the factory workers kid who can get whatever they want. $10,000 doesn't mean anything, but to Charlie, it meant a lot because it meant getting out of poverty. So it had to have been some other type of deal for the other kids.
Maybe the girl, just because of her I wanted attitude, was drawn to it even if they didn't need it,
Maybe Slugworth promised her a bean feast. Like each one is like a different thing. Oh, I'll give you a lifetime supply of gum to the one girl. Oh, just food to this other person. And then for Charlie, oh, it's 10,000.
HBO Max for Mike TV.
Yeah. Yeah. You get all the streaming services, Mike TV. You're all set. Even Peacock. But before Charlie gets his, supposedly the last one is found in Paraguay. But then it's discovered it's a fake. And I just have to ask, how did they figure out it was a fake? Obviously, if Slugworth has been following these along and they know where the cases are, he would know that. But this is such like a weird contest that like all you have to do is like just show up to the gates with your ticket. There's no like verification process. There's no phone call. There's no mail. It's like literally just show up with the ticket in your hand. No one's checking it until you're at the gate. So I just like, how did they know it was a fraud before, unless like somebody stepped in like Slugworth to do that? I don't know.
Maybe they admitted it.
Dude, it sounds like you're going full conspiracy theory mode in Willy Wonka land.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And it lucks out for Charlie though, because not only when Charlie does get it, I mean, it's literally the night before the contest. So it's like, well, if they didn't find that like last ticket, if it just stood at Bill's candy shop, was it only going to be like 4 people going into the place? Like the timing wasn't right. And then it also works out that Charlie happens to live in the same town.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to travel anywhere with his budget to like, so it's just, it lucked out. Yeah. They're definitely tracking these boxes, I think. But
probably, I mean, who knows? I mean, they could have Michael Scott this and put it all in the same batch or whatever.
Yeah. And then a family of 5 could have just went and
get the whole family in there.
But I'm gonna skip over the next song here because I did not even remember the song existing. Cheer Up, Charlie. I swear that this is cut out of TV versions because I don't remember. It's boring. There's no reason to be in the movie.
Yeah. I totally and completely agree. I forgot that it had existed.
We're cutting it. All right. So Charlie finds some money in the street. He buys a candy bar just for Grandpa Joe. And it's interesting because I've noticed they're supposedly in Wonka bars. And earlier in the film, when he gets one for his birthday, he gets like a peppermint patty. He doesn't even get a Wonka bar. And they expect him to find a golden ticket in that. And he doesn't find it. When he goes to the candy shop, of course, at this point, they thought all 5 tickets have been found. So he buys some like long...
The Scrumdiddlyumptious bar.
Yeah. So it was like whatever the biggest one was. So that didn't have a golden ticket. So it's just like, why don't you just go with the classic just in case, or at least the first time get the get it. But he gets it. He has the golden ticket. And we go back to his little house there.
Well, first off, wait, we got to mention that he puts it up, he holds it for 2 seconds, and then just an arm out of nowhere is just like, hey, right here, he's got it. I've been like, oh my God, I'm going to get murdered for this golden ticket.
You hide it immediately.
Yeah, there's no way I would show a human soul.
Yeah. They were hounding him. Like, he lucked out. He ran home and he surprises his family. They all thought he's pulling their leg, but they're not. And we get this moment from Grandpa Joe. And I think this is a huge moment for the film. We can finally see Grandpa Joe's true colors here. In the film, he says, as soon as I get my strength back, I'll be back to work. I'll be helping. I'll be working again. Well, that day has come and gone. He hasn't done anything. But then an opportunity comes up. He hasn't moved in 20 years. And he finds out, hey, I can go to a chocolate factory tomorrow. I'm out of bed. giant musical number. I've got a golden ticket. And it's like, no, you don't. Charlie does. But no, it's him. He has it now. He's jumping for joy.
Yeah.
This moment, John, this moment with Grandpa Joe, rant.
He's a terrible person. For 20-something years, letting his daughter or potentially worse, daughter-in-law slave away, forcing everybody to eat cabbage dregs, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, a chocolate factory. Well, shoot, I can run and jump and skip and spin around, and I don't even need this cane. Like, how? Why?
I don't even,
I
don't even need this cane.
He doesn't bring it to the factory, as far as I could tell. He uses it for 2 minutes and then he throws it away after his dance number.
I broke my ankle 2 years ago, and okay, that was I'm a pretty young, fit guy, and for weeks and months after, my leg, it took a long time to get the strength back. I had to go to physical therapy. This guy hasn't gotten out of bed in 20 years, and meanwhile, he can do jumps and flips and break dance. Like, this is insane. Like, insane.
He's a fraud, is what you're saying.
He's a fraud. And it's like, meanwhile, like, Grandpa Joe has no problem taking Charlie's money, for tobacco. He has an addiction. Meanwhile, Charlie should have taken his mom on this. She's putting cabbage water on the table every night, suffering, taking care of these 4 people. Her husband is dead. He's taking care of her in-law. I mean, it's just insane that Charlie just takes Grandpa Joe.
There was a line Grandpa Joe had about when a loaf of bread looks like a feast, something. But then he still takes the money from Charlie and he spends it on chocolate. Like, I don't know. The whole thing, Grandpa Joe just does not sit well for me. I don't know.
Grandpa Joe, he's a fraud. He's the worst.
He's the worst. All right, it's time for the big day. We're going to the factory, and we're going to meet Mr. Wonka, Gene Wilder, in an iconic performance, of course. But he wasn't the first pick. A lot of other people were in the running for this. All 6 Monty Python members were actually considered, but they were not deemed big enough names for an international audience. Producers also considered Fred Astaire. Peter Sellers begged the author, Roald Dahl, for the role, and Dahl wanted Spike Milligan. But it was Gene Wilder. Any thoughts on just Gene Wilder in general? I think we're probably all going to be on the same page on this, but John, how great of this performance?
I can't see this going any other way but him. It's one of those things where, like, yeah, I can imagine somebody else playing the role. We've seen somebody else playing the role, but it's not the same. The movie would not be the same. It would not be what it is. It would not work to the same degree. Anywhere near the same degree.
Yeah, Kyle, you agree, I assume?
Yeah, I just don't envision anyone else in that role. It's just, when I think of Willy Wonka, like, I think of him. Like, that's just how it is in my mind. I don't think it'll ever
When I
change.
think of Gene Wilder, I think of Willy Wonka. It's not even, that's him to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he's had obviously a lot of great films over the years: Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, so many to list. But it's Willy Wonka. I mean, maybe it's just our age or what, but that's our film, I think. And it's interesting. He took it pretty much on one condition: the somersault. That's what the legend is. He said, I will do this if I can do this kind of somersault, like, fake out when he comes walking out. And he said, quote, "From that time on, no one will know if I'm lying or telling the truth." And I think that's a great way to kind of sum up this character. It's like, you never know, like, what's this guy's doing, what he's thinking. It's always a surprise. He's this, he's a magician. He's always keeping you on your toes.
And I think that's what always frustrated me when I was younger watching this movie was I felt like his moods kind of changed, and it was like an abrupt change that as a child I couldn't understand what was happening to him character-wise, that it took me a while to figure out what was happening there. So I never really liked how, like, one time he seems like he's being, like, rude and disrespectful, and then the next he's like having a manic, like almost
Yeah.
depressive episode. So it's just very unique to see, you know.
Yeah, definitely all over the place. Someone on Twitter reached out to us, Jeffrey at Wacko King. He said, "This is my favorite moment. Not only does it perfectly introduce Wonka, but it also shows us the type of character that he is." And there's actually a crazy IMDb fact. I don't know if I buy this one. A lot of times, you don't know about the internet facts here. But according to IMDb, talking about this somersault, it took him 2 weeks of training with 2 stuntmen to get the Wonka flip right. It's an impressive somersault, but I don't. 2 weeks of training with 2 stuntmen.
You could do a forward roll in like a half hour, an hour.
I don't know. I don't know why it took that long to do that, but I don't know. That's the internet for you.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's so many classic lines that he says. I'll run through a few. I wonder if you guys have any favorite Willy Wonka lines from Gene Wilder here. One of my favorites, I think I actually have said this a bunch, or at least in my head, or sometimes with people. We have so much time and so little to do. Wait a minute, strike that, reverse it. Like it's always the wait a minute, strike that, reverse it. Like I'll always we'll flip it on there. I have a few more, but any others stand out to you guys from the film? Any favorite lines?
I like.
If not, I can run through them.
When they were in the candy room and he drank some of the whatever he made, the butterscotch, and someone asks him if it was good, and he goes, "Yes." I like that.
Yeah.
I can't get as high as he could, but
yeah, his deliveries. Yeah. Yeah, candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker.
Yeah, I do remember hearing that one. Yes.
Go
through them.
And there's a couple here that like sometimes it's like, what is he saying? It's like he talks in riddles, but it's like, we are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams. And if the good Lord intended us to walk, he wouldn't have invented roller skates.
There was a line that one of the girls said, spitting's a dirty habit. And he says, I know a worse one.
Yeah.
And it's like,
elaborate.
Which direction is that? Yeah.
Well,
Which way is that going?
She was picking her nose at the time. Yeah.
But also she's a gum chewer. So there's like a lot of habits that she has that are great. Let's see. Word Ducky says, no, don't stop, has lived on for so long too. Yeah. Like how is no, don't stop. Like whenever the kid does something.
Yeah.
But yeah. One of his early lines is a little surprise around every corner, but nothing dangerous. I don't know about that, Willie. Because he makes them sign a very lengthy fine print contract, which I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure if the kids are signing it, it is not legal. You have to have someone over 18 sign the contract for them.
Yeah.
But just the kids sign it. And I will note that I think he knew that people were going to be dropping like flies along this way, because if you notice the transportation throughout the film, whether it's the boat, whether it's the little Wonka mobile with the Ghostbusters foam coming out, there's just enough seats for everyone that's on the tour.
Yeah.
The transportation's getting smaller and smaller as the children leave. So he kind of knew they're going to lose kids. And I would feel like as a business owner, after the first kid is in trouble, I'd be like, all right, that's it. We're done for the day. We're done. We're calling it. Sorry. But no, he keeps going. He keeps going.
Well, they signed a very lengthy contract, dude. They knew what they were getting into.
He knew. But after some fun house type rooms and hallways, we get to the main room, the chocolate room. We get the Pure Imagination song, the classic song. This is probably like, I think if you think of the film, this is probably one of the moments you think of.
Yeah.
And he brings up everything is edible. Go hog wild. Eat whatever you want. Just go for it. But like, who is this for? Obviously, the Oompa Loompas live there, but also it's just Willy Wonka. So it's just like him, because like the chocolate will be used later, but like the grass and the trees, and you're not going to package that stuff, right? Like it doesn't grow on trees. You had to set this up.
Yeah.
So who's this for besides you and maybe these guests that you have every 100 years?
Yeah, and is the candy still good at that point? It's like he created a part of Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch or something with this candy room. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if they made it just for the tour.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like, what is that room normally? Yeah, it's just like just a factory room. Like
just the chocolate moat room.
Chocolate moat room. Vague is saying, I thought the implication that was that it did grow. It's like, okay, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe
But
that
that's,
ties into the Oompa Loompas and their home, and
yeah,
which we'll get into. I know, but
yeah, we'll definitely talk about the Oompa Loompas.
maybe all that candy came from there.
Maybe. But there's a lot of health code violations at this room because I mean we'll get to the big one, but I notice in the song he pulls Mike's hair and drops it on the ground, and it goes to the point where it's like, okay, well, is that hair now going to go into the chocolate river? Is that going to go on to the gummy bears? Is it like you're supposed to wear a hairnet if this, with this food, wear a mask, gloves, but the biggest culprit is Augustus. He falls in the chocolate river. He's eating it. And Wonka's so mad that he's contaminating it. But it's like, you told everyone everything is edible. Go. And it's like, well, you should have maybe said, except for the river. Don't touch the river. Not for you. That's my product. But no. So why are you shocked that he falls in the river?
I mean, I'm shocked he falls in the river, but he probably...
He's top heavy, that kid.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean it's chocolate. I would eat it. That would be the first thing I would go to, the giant chocolate river.
Would you jump in it and swim around?
I might, and just eat it along the way.
I like how the parents are also so dumb at first. They're like, hey, your water went bad, Wonka. It's like,
I know.
You're in a chocolate factory. What do you think this water is? Like, but they're mixing the chocolate by waterfall. That's how it gets, the special technique. And after he falls in, it's like almost he doesn't care. Like, is this whole batch of chocolate gone? Because he brings a boat in, then they're riding the boat in the chocolate. I don't know. But a little behind the scenes, maybe there's two stories. Either the chocolate is supposedly made out of water and food coloring, but then another one says it was a water, chocolate, and cream. Initially, the mixture turned blood red, so they had to change it. And then later into filming, because of the cream, it went bad and smelled terrible.
Oh.
The actor that played Augustus said it was dirty, stinking water.
Yeah. I mean, it just looks like looks very liquidy, not cocoa-y.
Yeah, it doesn't look soft or creamy or anything like that.
Yeah. So I'm leaning more towards it was just water and food coloring.
I would hope.
Yeah. So it seems like a bacteria nightmare. But he falls in, and then he goes up the chute. And I love how Grandpa Joe is like, "Hey, Charlie, remember how you asked me how a bullet comes out of a gun?" It's just like, okay. Like, first of all, why did Charlie, what are you teaching him, Grandpa Joe? But then he's like, yeah, he shoots right up the chute. He's gone.
Fantastic.
And that's when we get the first Oompa Loompa song.
Mm-hmm.
They come in, they sing their little riddle. They got the lyrics on the screen. Pretty cool, probably at the time. A little iMovie-ish now with the sing-along. But I'm not sure this and the backstory of how the Oompa Loompas made it to the factory hold up in 2021.
Yeah, they're slaves, man.
They're slaves. Wonka makes a point saying he saved them from being eaten.
Save them.
In a desolate country. They're from a desolate country. And he said, come with me and live in peace. But in that speech, he doesn't mention that. Oh, you forgot to mention that you're going to be put to labor at his chocolate factory. I don't know what the benefits are. I don't know the salary, days off. I don't know any of that for the Oompa Loompas, but it doesn't look good for them working around the clock.
And they're having to hide dead bodies everywhere.
That's true too. That's not in the job description. And there's some questionable stuff on Roald Dahl's, the actor or the author's Wikipedia page. I mean, on Wikipedia where they have like the highlights, his early career, his published works. When they have sections where it says controversies and it mentions anti-Semitism, misogyny, and racism in bold, that means there's multiple instances. Not great. And then I watched this Honest trailer before the podcast, and it claimed in the very first draft, I'm not sure if of the script or just of the book, originally the Oompa Loompas were black. So,
oh no,
yeah, not great at all. They do not hold up. And I'm really curious how this is going to work now for the prequel film Wonka. We mentioned it before. We have our Wonka, Timothy Chalamet. He's going to be our young Wonka. The adventures prior to opening up the world's most famous chocolate factory. It will have musical numbers. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to address this, showing him go to Wonka or Oompa Loompa land and, bring them over to his factory.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're gonna have to spin it as they ask him if they can go with him. That's the only way I can see it working out,
And they're gonna have to go into more detail about like something where it's like more culturally appropriate at this point in time. I don't know. They gotta find another way to do it.
Yeah, Word Ducky brings up a great point. Nobody comes, nobody goes. They never leave that factory. That's true.
Yeah.
They're stuck. They're stuck in that building. What do you think though about Timothée Chalamet being the young Wonka here? Is it? I'm kind of actually personally surprised as a career move for Timothée Chalamet. I feel like he's kind of mostly stayed away. Obviously, he has Dune coming out, but I feel like he's stayed away from like the big budget blockbuster franchise type fare, and he's in a more Oscar bait fare. What do you think about this move to be the young Wonka?
I mean, I don't know. I don't see anything too crazy about it. I mean, he's done so many Oscar type movies now.
Yeah.
He'll always probably have those or can go back to India at any point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he wanted to try something. I don't know. I don't even know. Do we even know how big this budget is for this Wonka prequel stuff?
I don't know. I would assume it's pretty big. If you got musical numbers, you got Timothée Chalamet. If it's a prequel to a franchise, who knows? Is it going to end up like Cruella, which I haven't seen, but I heard like we don't even get to the meat and potatoes of what Cruella de Vil is. So it's probably setting up a sequel, a prequel sequel. So we're gonna get Wonka, Wonka 2, Wonka 3, the trilogy before we get to this version. And it's just, I think, a thankless role. Like it's like the hosting the Oscars. Like you're gonna be compared to Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. Timothée Chalamet is a good actor, but you're it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, and maybe that's what I mean. Maybe why he took it was because it is challenging. If you know that you have to measure up to another great actor, but doesn't every actor is like, I tried to make it my own and not really do what you know what I mean, or all that crap. So yeah, I mean, now that you bring it up, it's going to be difficult. But it's what, 50 years later, we're making a Wonka prequel. It's just going to feel like a different universe at this point, like a different time period. It's not, I bet people will look at this and not even equate those two things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
That's
it's all this stuff now, like with Joker. It's like, it was like this story maybe necessarily wasn't even about the character Joker, but they used Joker to make it profitable. You could have made that movie anything, serial killer, and if that was the name of the film, it's like, okay, maybe it won't be as popular, but then you call it Joker, you're like, oh, I gotta go see it.
Did they specify that it is a prequel to this version of Willy Wonka?
That's a good question. I mean, because this one is different than the 2005 one. There's a lot of changes between the two.
I just kind of assumed it was, but I mean, I could see him fitting into more of that other role in the young Johnny Depp. Yeah,
he did do that. He did the Edward Scissorhand Super Bowl commercial. Timothée Chalamet. So maybe he's trying to follow the Johnny Depp career. I don't know.
Maybe.
All right. Well, we then go on this boat sequence here, and this is just as terrifying as a kid. This is like a Technicolor acid trip. There's like some weird like close-ups of like eyes and like birds dying and being stomped on, and crickets being eaten. This is weird.
It is a weird one for sure.
What's this have to do with the chocolate factory?
Trying to scare them.
Grandpa Joe saying, strange but fun. Reminds him of the good old days.
They got nothing to lose, right? He's been, you know what? He's been in bed for 20 years. He's probably amazed there's even such a thing as,
color
animals.
But we make it to the invention room. Again, so many health code violations. He's throwing a clock into a pot. There's dirty shoes in another one, just to give it a little kick. That was the shoe. We give it a little kick, and then it was too cold. So you put the coat in.
Oh my god!
But then I don't know if you noticed, we get the condescending Wonka meme. It comes up. It's quick. innocent,
Yeah.
but it comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Origin story right here.
Yeah.
Back where it all began.
They have to at least do that in the Wonka prequel film. Just like how they have to do that meme of the Spider-Mans pointing at each other
Yeah.
in the Spider-Verse thing. They have to do this meme as well. But we get the invention of the Everlasting Gobstopper. And for me, it doesn't seem like this is like the best invention for a businessman like Wonka, because it's like, sure, it helps the poor kids have candy. That's very nice of you. But it's like, well, if these kids only need one candy anymore, it's like, well, why do they need more candy from you? It's like, you know, that's why they have to kind of make iPhones and other things. You know, maybe they get worse over the years. The battery drains. Like, well, yeah, because if you just buy one iPhone, you're set for a while. But it's like, no, we need you to keep buying iPhones. But, that's his big play, the Gobstopper. And
remember, everyone else was supposed to give it up, or
so obviously they all have their issues, and they have to leave the tour. But is it still on their possession? And do they actually, like, was it confiscated by the Oompa Loompas when they're being the squeezed in the blueberry room, and then the cold in the taffy room? Like, did they take it? I don't know. They still have it. Charlie gave it up, but
Mike TVs would be the size of a grain of sand.
That's true.
Not even worth it anymore.
Yeah.
Accidentally swallow it.
Well, they can make a lot into a small piece here, and that's where we get the dinner gum, and this like Rube Goldberg type machine. And Violet, she needs it. She needs this. She loves gum, and it's a full 3-course dinner. And I love that one of the parents is like, bull. And then Wonka's like, no, roast beef. It's just like, oh, very funny. But we get this 3-course meal.
Corny dad jokes, man, for sure.
Tomato soup, roast beef and baked potato, and blueberry pie. That sounds like a good meal. I'm in. But the issue I have with this it lasts like 15 seconds. They go through all of that within like 15 seconds, and then after that 15 seconds, what does the gum taste like? The blueberry pie for the next hour?
Maybe it loops.
It loops again after you have dessert. You have to have tomato soup again.
Oh man,
I don't know.
The palate on that one would just be in overdrive there. To just blueberry pie to tomato soup and back again. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm passing, but we don't get to know, because it stops at blueberry pie. Violet, you are turning violet, and she becomes a blueberry. And Wonka says they all become blueberries. All? What do you mean, Wonka? How many people have become blueberries in your shop of horrors here?
Nice. You got to test it on somebody.
Yeah, he's been stealing children off the streets, and
I was thinking
the knife kid or the knife guy is picking kids up and bringing them into the factory.
I was thinking he's making the Oompa Loompas test them.
Oh, that could be too.
No!
And then that's another issue. That's another issue.
I don't know why that would be better than kids. I don't know why I was like, oh, not the Oompa Loompas, but the children.
The poor souls.
Yeah, don't worry. We know what to do. Just got to juice them. Word Ducky is saying. That's it. Just got to go juice the blueberry. We get this quick scene with the fizzy lifting drinks. Grandpa Joe forces, bad influence, Grandpa Joe, to drink the drink, and they float up to the fan. And this was actually, I remember being scared as a kid of this.
Yeah.
With those propeller blades.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah, it was freaky for me too. I didn't like it either.
It
was just ominous.
My 2 notes for this scene is that HD ruined it a little bit, because you could see the wires an awful large a lot of the time. A, and B, I find it hilarious every time that Charlie always turns upward to burp, like he's pushing himself back down with the burp.
Yeah.
Every time. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I noticed like they have so many bubbles to try to hide the wires. It's just bubbles, just as much as you can on the screen so you don't see the wires. But it's a good trick. I mean, 50 years old, and but then we get to the golden geese, and I love how they don't even realize that 2 people out of like 6 are missing. But the geese are laying eggs. I don't know why in the chocolate factory this always bothered me. Like, the eggs are not made of chocolate. I mean, I guess you need
He said
eggs.
they're golden chocolate eggs.
They're golden. So these are special geese that can lay golden chocolate eggs.
Mm.
And they're laying them for Easter, even though Easter's over. And then he's like, shh, don't tell them that. They don't know that. I'm trying to get ahead. And it's like, that just makes me think. It's like, is he also pushing the Oompa Loompas into overtime? You know?
Yeah, dude.
Easter's over.
They're wrapping them. Yeah.
Yeah, Willy Wonka is not a good guy
No.
in this story either. He's a factory owning jerk.
Yeah. We're Ducky saying, so maybe the bad ones must be made of egg. That could be possible. Like they weren't chocolate, they were actually egg.
See, then why send them to the incinerator? Why not send them to feed the Oompa Loompas? Or maybe they eat the candy from the other room. Who knows? But hey, make a nice omelet out of it. Sell it on the side. Sell it to someone in the town. Give it to Charlie to eat, so his family doesn't have to eat cabbage water. Anything.
That's true.
You're just gonna incinerate him.
Yeah. Well.
How dare you? That sounds like socialism, John. Don't you dare.
But Veruca wants one. Name your price. She wants a golden goose to lay golden eggs. She wants it now. And we have this big song, I Want It Now. And yeah, as we mentioned, I want a feast. I want a bean feast. As a kid, I'm like, what is that? I did look it up. Because again, I'm like, why would you want a baked bean feast? But supposedly it's a British expression that means dinner at a scenic locale. So I guess she wants a feast at a scenic.
That would be a British saying.
Where Ducky looked it up earlier, and he said it was a colloquialism in England, a yearly feast done for his workers. The titular bean is a single bean baked into something, and whoever finds it gets a prize. So maybe there's several definitions of bean feast.
Yeah. Or maybe the author had to come up with something that's like, well, I got to rhyme bean feast and I got to make up something now. So this is like legit because I got to think of something. But she falls down the garbage chute. She's going to the furnace. Thankfully, it's lit every other day. So there's a good chance she's going to be okay. 50-50 shot. She might be okay.
Yeah.
But
she was a bad egg.
She was a bad egg. All right. We're down to just 2 kids left. We're going in the Wonka-mobile. We're running on soda pop and bubbles, and it's just going everywhere. It's like that Ghostbusters foam. And supposedly, though, this is behind the scenes fact, it was compiled from basic fire extinguishers. And it was unknown to the cast and crew that this would be a skin irritant. So the people needed medical attention. So, the 70s with their labor laws. Yeah,
that is insane. Could you imagine?
Yeah, because it's like some, you couldn't even get shaving cream. It was some fire extinguishers.
Oh my!
And they get doused in it too.
Yeah.
There's one shot of Charlie just like disappearing in a deluge,
like swallowing it too. It's like going. They're like and it's going down their throat. Oh my god!
If I was Gene Wilder, I would pull a Bill Murray in Ghostbusters when everyone's covered in that marshmallow stuff, and then Bill Murray, like in the scene, it has like a little drop on his forehead. Like, it's like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm Gene Wilder. But okay, we get to like the final room here, and it's Wonka Vision TV. And to me, this always looked so cool as a kid. This all white blank void has always looked so cool on
super
TV.
Stark contrast to everything else you've seen so far too.
It's been super colorful now. Where it's just this white room, and Mike TV wants to be sent by TV, like how Wonka is experimenting with food, sending food through the television. And I actually think this is a great idea for an invention. It is a downside that it needs to be gigantic food, but like this could, if you could work through that, this could solve world hunger. This could help out and also be great for products. Oh, you're watching a commercial. Oh, that, Big Mac looks pretty good. Just reach in. Oh, there it is.
Here's a little mini Mac for you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be so dangerous, dude.
Yep.
That would be so dangerous.
Yeah.
Dude, these fast food CEOs are probably losing their minds right now. They're listening right now to us, and they are creaming their pants because they can't believe that
they're fire extinguishing their pants.
yes.
But
which is a skin irritant, by the way.
But Mike TV is running away, and he says, Stop, don't come back. And obviously doesn't care. And Mike TV becomes super small, and he has to go to the taffy room to be stretched out. They have the song, the Oompa Loompa song about TV watching, and I was getting scared because what do you get from watching all the TV? A pain in the neck and an IQ of 3.
Oh.
So between the three of us,
We have.
not good for a television
Yeah.
podcast. But yeah, all right. That's it. We're down to just Charlie. That's it. We're done. But Wonka's not showing him the way out. Terribly busy. The whole day was wasted. That's it. And they're like, wait, what's going on? Where's our chocolate? And we go into the office. And Wonka's office, everything is cut in half. The sink, the safe, the clock, everything is cut in half. And I had to look up why, but like, this is, I mean, it's comical, but like the safe and the sink are not practical at all.
Yeah.
Like they're unusable.
No.
So, and like he's reading off something and it's just like half of the piece of paper.
So what was the purpose of it?
Supposedly, this was just from the director. He didn't want to just end in an ordinary office. After you saw all these creative rooms of the factory, all these cool different locations and colors and stuff, he just wanted something in the office to be unique. So he just, instead of just being in like a regular office at the end, okay, let's cut everything in half.
It's just such a throwaway.
Yeah.
It's just such a throwaway. Oh my gosh.
Oh, dark skin, deep. He's trying to show that the climb to fame makes you half the man you started out to be. All right.
Okay.
But
I can go with that.
But yeah, Grandpa Joe, where's the chocolate? You know, where's the chocolate you promised us? And he said, you broke the rules because of the fizzy lifting drinks. You broke the rules. And he has the famous, you get nothing, you lose. Good day, sir. Just the yelling, the gift, it's just the big moment. And Grandpa Joe, of course, you're a crook. You're having a little bit of a
because
fight.
He's like, it takes one to know one because I've been in bed for 20 years.
Yep, I know.
You can't swindle a swindler, huh?
Exactly. And then Charlie gives up the gobstopper, starts walking out. And that was the test. He won. Slugworth comes out. It's actually Mr. Wilkinson. He works for him. You pass Charlie. You get the factory. Celebration. It's a huge moment.
I will say the end of this movie is like pulling you this way, pulling you that way, pulling you like, Jesus, how many ways are we going here?
Just like the elevator. It can go any which way, Kyle. Except there's one button they haven't pressed, and they press that one button. And we shoot out of the ceiling. And this moment, John, reminded me of Doc Brown standing in front of the DeLorean for the big test. He doesn't know if the DeLorean's going to run him over. And this is like, Grandpa Joe's like, the room is made of glass. We're going to be cut to ribbons. And Willy Wonka's like, probably. It's just like, you have some kind of death wish. Like, you want to die. Like,
yeah.
This was always the point when I was a kid where I would check out. That was
at the end of the movie.
Yeah, you know what?
Well, yeah,
celebrating. Well, no. But the elevator, the elevator, and them flying around, like, celebrate by launching yourself into the sky. Like, all right, cool.
Kind of corny. Yeah.
And then it's all just
fixing the window.
Then it's all just scenery. Like, it was over when they said you won for me. You know, like,
yeah.
I would have been fine with you won, Charlie, and then like they hug and that's it. Like,
yeah,
boop, that's not. You know, like.
I agree.
Yeah, they needed the aerial view of Germany there. They needed to show it off. And technically, in the book, I think the sequel is like Willy Wonka, or no, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. That's like, and I think they go to space. I could be wrong.
They go to a
like,
lot of places.
Yeah, so it's practically Fast 9. If they just go up to space, and it's just it becomes absurd. But yeah, they're going away. He's giving them the entire factory. It's because he's not a grown up. Because he's gonna do it their way, not his. So he wants a kid, and he says, "You can move in, Charlie." And immediately, Grandpa Joe's like, "What about me? Don't forget about me, Grandpa Joe. What about me? Can I come?" And it's like, "Of course you can come, Grandpa Joe. Shut up." And then,
like, Grandpa Joe, we've got escalators here. You're okay.
And then
we'll get you a bed on the boat to run around anywhere you want.
Yeah.
And then the final lines here: "Don't forget about the man who got everything he wanted. What happened? He lived happily ever after."
So corny, dude. So corny.
After everything else in the movie being like cool and funky and all that, you drop that line, is like, Oh, all
Yeah.
right.
Honestly, I'm not as down on it as like it's definitely cliche, but I think it's kind of like goes with like with his kind of things. It's like he pulls you one way, and of course it's the opposite. And I remember reading something where it's like the final line was like in the script was like "yippee" or like something like dumb, like an exclamation, and like the director wasn't happy. He's like, yes, the script guy, just come up with something. I need a new ending line. So this is what maybe it's like a last minute rewrite. But that's the film. Yeah, and just a little bit of legacy stats here. It was made on a budget of $3 million. It earned $4 million in its original run. It has gained a cult following. It was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Score and a Golden Globe for Gene Wilder. In 2014, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. Definitely holds up. One person that wasn't a big fan though, Roald Dahl, the author of the 1964 book. He actually wrote the screenplay, but then they brought in somebody else to do uncredited rewrites, including adding the musical numbers. And Dahl actually disowned the film. He had many complaints. I'll run through them real quick. They put too much of an emphasis on Willy Wonka and not on Charlie. He hated the conversion of Slugworth from a minor character to like a spy villain for this film. He hated the fizzy lifting drink scene and all the music he hated except for the original Oompa Loompa compositions, which to me, these are insane. Like the best parts of the movie are Willy Wonka. You got to have a villain. And then some of the music, I mean, Pure Imagination, the Candyman, like there's some great, even I've Got a Golden Ticket, as much as I hate Grandpa Joe, that's a big moment.
Yep.
So
I agree.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like these are improvements, I think, on that. But
yeah.
And
I mean, in general, I mean, because I was thinking about it as I was watching it, because it's not like really a musical, but they have like these musical numbers in there. It's just an interesting, weird thing that they did. But I will say, some a pretty famous scores in there. So
yeah, I mean, it won it or got nominated for Academy Award for the music. So it definitely helped with that. But all this resulted in the refusal for any more film adaptations in his lifetime, including the Charlie and the Glass Elevator sequel. But he passed away in 1990. So naturally, in the 90s, we got James and the Giant Peach and Matilda, and we got all the films.
Yeah.
And then we got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and that's the one with Johnny Depp in 2005. Let's briefly talk about this. You guys
I've never seen it.
You've never seen that one. John, have you seen the
it.
2005 version?
I think I saw it about when it came out, and that's the only time I've seen it. So it's been a while.
Yeah, I think I actually saw this. I mean, I saw it like whatever in 2005-ish when it came out. I saw it like in the last couple of years. I don't think it holds up at all. It's got the CGI and it's more up to date, and it's maybe you don't see the seams like you do in the 1970s version, but I just feel like it doesn't have the life that this one does.
Heart.
The heart, exactly. It's just missing something, and I feel like Johnny Depp, he stepped into the shoes of Gene Wilder, and that's really hard to do, and it just felt off. Like it just felt like a performance, and it didn't feel like a character to me.
Yeah, it looked weird. I just remember seeing his character and thinking it looked weird, and I was not ready for that.
Yeah. So this is definitely the superior one. I don't think in 2055 we'll be talking about the 50th anniversary of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on the podcast. Sorry, but I don't think that's.
We won't.
I don't think that's going to be on
2055.
I think we'll be busy.
But they saved it in the Library of Congress or whatever.
Well, I don't know, not that version, but maybe then we can just go through Wonka Vision TV, and we can just go into people's homes and just talk to them about it if they really want us to do so. But that is it for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Is there anything we forgot? Anything that we missed? Anything in the chat? Anyone wants to bring up anything from the film for the 50th anniversary? Because this probably not going to come around again. We're not going to talk about it for a while. So anything else for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
I think I got through all my notes that I had written down.
Said my piece.
Yeah. Where Ducky brings up a point. It's funny, compared to the 2005 version, this was far more about Charlie, despite being called Willy Wonka. And I feel like the vice versa is true of the 2005 one, all about Willy Wonka and called Charlie. Because I believe that is true. I think in the 2005 one, there's a lot like Willy Wonka's origin story, and like there's like more info about that and flashbacks and stuff like that. And that one's called Charlie, but then this one is called Willy Wonka, but we spend half the movie with Charlie. Yeah.
Because I think they knew that Willy Wonka was really the star of the show, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We're Ducky. Yeah. I think he brings up in 2005 version, I think in the book as well, Charlie's dad is alive and his father is a dentist. So, or maybe not dentist. I think in the movie, actually, I think he's like a toothpaste, like he's at an assembly line filling up toothpaste containers or something.
The robot that eventually replaces him.
Yeah,
and he tries to repair it or something. Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
God.
Yeah, so I'm okay with him not being in this one. That's okay. Because it's also interesting too. Then it's like, okay, well, your dad's alive, your mom's alive in that version, and then you're still taking Grandpa Joe. That's your pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is it for tonight. That is it. If you liked this movie pod, we have plenty more other ones just like it. We've done a lot of films for anniversaries. We've done Ghostbusters. We've done Back to the Future, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Home Alone, Die Hard, and Road Trip. We just like this. We break down scene by scene. So if you want to find those, you can find those, of course, in the archives on YouTube, on iTunes, on Spotify, the blog, dualredundancy.com. All those episodes are there. Speaking of episodes, we're going to be off next week. No live show next week with the Independence Day holiday. We're off, but we're going to be back in July with a lot of new shows, a lot going on. We got topics including Space Jam 2, I Think You Should Leave Season 2, The White Lotus, Big Brother 23 is coming out. A lot coming up in July, so make sure you're subscribed and ready to go. And then, of course, our next live show. You got to bookmark this date, Tuesday, July 13th. That's our next live show on Twitch. We're going to be reacting to the Emmy nominations. They come out that day. We'll talk about them that night. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, twitch.tv/dualredundancy. All right. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram at Dual Redundancy. You can send in comments and reviews and stuff like that, like a couple people did. I want to thank everyone that was in the chat tonight. We had a lot of names. Mystics were Ducky, Dark. Who am I forgetting here? Vague is in there.
Yep.
A lot of people joined us tonight. Thank you guys. And I thank both of you guys. You know, we're in the middle of a heat wave. We turned our ACs off for this. You guys watched a 50-year-old movie. I couldn't do it without you guys. And of course, for John for directing the show, couldn't do it without you guys.
Yeah, man.
All right. That is it. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for our 50th anniversary look at Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Goodbye, everybody.